Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, kindly sponsored by ACD&B, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands. So if there's any companies out there that need a brand new logo or a brand refresh, just get in touch with ACD&B. Well, this is a Lot Pod special because we are, of course, being joined by another special guest. We're incredibly lucky to have this special guest join us. Joining me for this one, as always, along with all of our Lot Pod specials, it's LUFC Stats, aka Andrew. How are you, Andrew?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very much looking forward to this one. Another one of my heroes growing up as a youngster following the Liners, as it was back then.
Absolutely,
back in the early 90s.
I'm over the moon that we've got another Rhinos legend. Who are we talking about? Who's with us today, Andrew?
Well, today we've got a player who actually goes down in history as the first ever captain of the Leeds Rhinos. Yeah. When Leeds actually played Whitehaven in a Challenge Cup tie back in February 1997, as sort of Paul Hetherington first came across the Leeds Rhinos. He had two spells at the club, and he came back in, I think, August 2001. And I'm sure he'll have a key now on the relegation battle as well, with his former club Castleford involved. It's a very good evening to Gary Mercer.
Good evening, gents. How are you all?
Very well. Thank you very much for coming on. It's an honour to be joined by a legend of the game in both
I wouldn't call myself a legend. I wouldn't call myself a legend.
I'll call you a legend then, Gary.
Oh, you call me then. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll call you. Well, we'll start at the beginning then, Gary. Obviously, I know you sort of started in Union. How did you get into rugby, basically?
Well, back home in New Zealand, obviously rugby league in my area at the time was Rotorua and Bay of Plenty. I played rugby union on a Saturday, and then I played rugby league on a Sunday. Wow. And I thought, well, I quite like this rugby league because you don't have to pass the ball. You don't need much skill set. You just got to run hard, have a good work rate. There's a fair chance you get over the game line, you make some yards, you score a few tries. So I thought, I'll keep this going. So my stepfather did turn to me one day and he says, because I played 10 and I played Bay of Plenty secondary schools, which was a good level, like a Yorkshire level. And my stepfather turned to me and said, Gary, you'll never be an All Black. I went, why? Wow. He says, because you can't kick off both feet. And I went, oh, okay. So I said, well, I'll get something better. I'll go rugby league and then become a Kiwi. And so that was a real big motivation for me. Because I watched the All Blacks right through the early 70s, obviously growing up, a fantastic team, as you know, and they still are to this day. So, it was the second best was becoming a New Zealand international Kiwi rugby league player, which I did.
How did you move to sort of Bradford then come about with it being your first sort of rugby league professional club?
Yes, it was back in 1987. I finished school, I think, 85. I worked for about a year and a half. Then I was playing rugby league and I was playing provincial rugby league. And then I was playing inter-district rugby league, which was Northern Districts. And back then it was Northern Districts, Central Districts, Auckland and South Island into four big York, sort of like continent sides. And I played really well, got selected for the Kiwis in 86. For Mark Bourneville, so I was a reserve player coming into that squad. So I went on tour with 86 to Papua New Guinea, Australia and Papua New Guinea. But as a pook, as they call it back then, you weren't a test player. So I played all those games, never made a test. And then went back home, had a season back home with my club, and then got selected again in 87. And then there was a one-off test against Australia in 1987 at Lang Park. And I went there along with a number of players at the time where we were the underdogs, and Australia at the time were winning everything. They had Wally Lewis in there, Gene Miles, Mal Meninga, Dale Shearer, all those legend players.
Not a bad side.
They were a great side. And, we were getting written off by the Australian press. They said, oh, this New Zealand side's young, it's new, it's not got no chance to be 50-pointer, blah, blah, blah. We ended up winning 13-6. And I scored the winning try, and I was like, yes. So off the back of that, Bradford Northern rang me up. Well, not rung me directly, rung Tony Gordon at the time, who was a Kiwi coach. Well, he wasn't a Kiwi coach, but he was acting for me. It was Tony Gordon, who was my provincial coach. And he said, look, do you want to go to Bradford? And I went, Bradford? Okay, well, let's go. So I went to Bradford. Obviously, you know what Bradford's like. You sort of fly into Manchester, you drive over the Pennines. It's hail and snow. And I'm like, oh, man, what have I done? And then I got a place. They got me a place up at Ecclesall, which is quite a rough area of Bradford. It's like, but it was a great setup. I met some great people. Played with some great players at Bradford Northern at the time. Brian Noble, just to name one, along with David Hobbs. Ellery had left. Ellery had left, I think, 2 seasons prior to that. I think he went to Wigan at that time, or might be somewhere else. But yeah, so that's how I got into the UK.
And then, obviously, from there, you went to Alderspool at Warrington, and
Yes.
I believe you play in the Challenge Cup final in '90 against Wigan at Wembley.
Was it 90? I think it was there. It's a long time ago. That yes, I played. Yeah, I've been in 3 Challenge Cup finals.
Wow.
I've lost all 3, sadly.
Yes.
Oh, no.
But, one with Warrington and obviously 2 with Leeds. So, yeah, Warrington coming for me. It was a 1989 tour with New Zealand GB tour, and I got player of the series for New Zealand, and Sean Edwards got player of the series for Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
And then off the back of that, Warrington come in. Brian Johnson,
Yeah.
he come in and they signed me from there. And myself and Dwayne Mann, if you remember Dwayne Mann, so Dwayne, both me and him signed. So I signed there in '92, and that's where I got my name, Ming.
Mm-hmm.
Ming the Merciless. So
Ming the Merciless,
that's what they call it from there on. It's stuck to this day. So yeah, thanks to Warrington. I got a nickname.
I actually think Paul Laughlin's got a worse record than you. I think he played in 5 Challenge Cup finals and lost all 5. I know he definitely lost a few with Saints, and I think 2 with Bradford in 96, 95, 96, 96, 97. So I think that's up there with.
That'll make you feel better, Gary.
Yeah, make you feel better. And then obviously
better.
from there, you joined Leeds as it was back then in the summer of '92. How did that move come around with Dougie Lawton at Leeds at the time?
Oh, I love Dougie. Dougie Lawton, brilliant. Brilliant manager, good people's person, could manage the boys well. He was brilliant because he was bringing a good side together. Really, it was Ellery Hanley.
Yeah.
Now, because Ellery was the one that sort of went, I think what Dougie's told me was that he had a conversation with Ellery. He says, Ellery, who do you think is the next best thing for work rate? We need another second round, blah, blah, blah. He says, we'll kick Gary Mercer from Warrington. So at the time, I was talking to Castleford. At the same time, Castleford offered me more money.
Wow.
And I went, I quite like this, Rhinos, because Ellery was there. So Ellery was part of that deal, part of those conversations with me and Dougie. But I never actually directly met with Ellery before I signed. It wasn't until I signed for the Rhinos, Loiners back then, that I got a phone call of Ellery Hanley. And I picked the phone up. I go, hello, who's this? It's Ellery. Well, Ellery? Yeah, Ellery Hanley. Oh. Hi, Ellery. I was like, oh, hi, Ellery. And he goes, meet me at Roundhay Park, 2:00. Phone down.
That was it.
I went, shit, what's this about? So I turn up at 2:00. He's there in the car park already, shorts on. He said, bring your training kit as well. He did say, bring your training kit.
Bring your training gear, yeah.
Yeah, and Ellery Hanley was renowned for his running, wasn't
he? Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes.
As far as done.
Yeah.
Just ran. So he says, come on, Gary, let's go for a run. So we ran for a run around Roundhay Park. I think it was probably about 2.5 miles or whatever. And I kept up with Ellery, and he was quick at the time. And I'm not, because at the time, to be fair, I was quite fit. He come back in the car park, looked at me, he says, you'll do for me. And then that was it, pretty much. This conversation like that. I'm like, this is the Ellery Hanley. Yeah. What a legend. He said, I'll do for him. So from that on, our relationship just blossomed, along with all the players with the Rhinos at the time. It was just a fantastic era. I was privileged to be part of that Rhino era through the 90s, but we're always second fiddle to Wigan, weren't we? Because Wigan at the time was just in their prime. So, when you think about professional sport, you think about a club like the Rhinos, a great club, well supported, beautiful people, love their rugby league. It was like, oh, this is great. I couldn't have made a better choice. No disrespect to Castleford as a club, but the Rhinos at the time was the right call.
What was it like then playing with players like Gary Schofield, Alan Tate, Ellery, James Lowes? Could you sense that Dougie was building something to try and challenge Wigan?
Yeah, Dougie Lawton was smart. He knew his rugby players. Lowesy was at Hunslet at the time.
Yes.
Not really going anywhere. He was a bit of a renowned for his poor attitude. Well, not so much poor attitude, but quite a prickly guy, rugby league player, quite aggressive, and we needed that. So he brought him in, and then Dougie just surrounded us. Myself, Ellery, James Lowes, with players like the Jim Fallons of the era who brought Jim in, Craig Innes, Kevin Iro. He just knew good rugby players when he saw them, and the talent pool we had at Headingley at the time was just fantastic in first team. And then you obviously saw the academy boys coming through, along with Adrian Morley's of the world, also Kevin Sinfield's of the world. So it's like these guys are going to be catching us up soon. But it was a great era.
There's one game I want to take you back to in your first few years was March 26th, 1994, Silk Cup Challenge Cup semi-final, St Helens at Central Park. 12 months previous, Jonathan Davis had wiped the floor with us with Widnes at Central Park. But that day, I think you actually got man of the match, or suddenly got the BBC man of the match that day from Grandstand. What's your recollection from finally getting Leeds over the hurdle of getting Leeds to Wembley for the first time since 1978?
Well, first and foremost, I'll tell you, I've had a few head knocks, so I can't remember that for a long time ago.
Andrew, this is Andrew, and every ex-player we have on, they always say, Andrew, you know more than me. I can't remember 1994.
Yeah.
Am I right to say Ellery scored 2 that day?
He did, yeah, 200 that weekend, yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought Ellery, I don't know if I got man of the match, I think you got that wrong. I think Ellery would have got it that day. That was it was fantastic. It was like, it was a good era of players coming through. Doug had put a good squad together. That was our first Wembley appearance. Is that correct that year?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So it was. Listen, exciting. Anytime you go to Wembley, I mean, Wembley's like if you're going down the beach, you pick up a seashell, put it to your ear, and you hear it just.
Yeah.
And that's all Wembley was, because when you go to Wembley and you play, it's gone in a flash.
Yeah.
So it was just unreal experience, and it was the fans couldn't get the best fans in the world to go to support us at Wembley, so it was brilliant. Again, like I said, I can't remember everything.
Yeah,
that long time ago.
What we touched upon that final in '94. Were we overawed a little bit by Wigan, or were we just beaten by Martin Afire?
Listen, Martin Afire made a line break. Thank God I wasn't there when he made it. I blame Neil Harmon.
Yes,
because it was Harmy. Harmy was there. Obviously, 2 or 3 years down the line, we used to say to Harmy, "Who's that? Is that Martin behind you? Watch out, son." So we used to take the mickey a little bit out of Neil. It was a tough one for him. And Tatey, when you think about it, Tatey is pretty quick.
Yeah,
and Tatey gave him the outside, and I thought Tatey's going to get him here, but Afire, he was a freak.
Yeah,
he's a freak. He's a quality player. He's quick. He was aggressive in his running. He just lateral runs, bang, step, and he's just gone. So, yeah, it was a pretty tough one. But I think on the day, I think we're overawed, but probably a little bit by the crowd. First time at Wembley. We're going to be there before. So, yeah, to a certain extent. But it's no excuse. It's still a game of rugby league.
And I actually think when Scurway and Jim Fallon scored, we got it back to 12-10. And I remember as a 7-year-old thinking, we might win this. And lo and behold, Martin Afire goes length of the field again. And I think Sam Penalanipa goes over. And I know Franny got a length of the field try to claw it back. But from that recollection, we ran Wigan close. And then the following year, we ran them even closer in the Championship. Was there a belief in the squad that we could win the league in 95?
Certainly, I mean, because obviously we were been the year before. So, yeah, we were pretty much the top. Again, we were bridesmaids to Wigan, weren't we?
Yeah.
And that was a tough one because, to be fair to Wigan, had a great side. Great players. And that's why Great Britain at the time was so strong. The influence of Wigan players at international level. And they played together and being together, and then they had people like Ellery Hanley coming in, putting icing on the cake for Great Britain. So, yeah, it was... Again, I can't remember too much.
Yeah.
All I remember, it was a great experience.
I think we beat Fed in the semi at Ellen Road.
Yes, we did. We at Ellen Road, and I loved that game. That was a fantastic game. It was the best semi-final I've ever been involved in.
Yeah,
really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I think we pickpocketed one of them, and then I think Tatey got man of the match, and
Tatey played.
Real belief, and then unfortunately Wigan were just I think we lost 38-10, and then we bombed in the playoffs I think at Old Trafford when Chris Radlinski scored a hat-trick, and I think the least of that about the better, because that was Dougie's last game in charge at Leeds. And then obviously Dean Bell came in. I'm guessing that's someone you knew quite well at that time.
Dean I played with in New Zealand from 86 to I think Dean was the 86, 87, 89, 92. So Belly come in obviously, I think Hugh McGann come over first.
He
didn't
did. That's right.
In the pre-season, and Hugh rattled a few feathers within the club with a number of players, and the players were sort of like, weren't very responsive to him. Then Belly come in, and I think Hugh left, if I recall. Right. And then Dean Bell come in and took hold of the ship, and he dropped me. I don't know if you remember.
I do.
He dropped me. Yes. He says, because the team wasn't playing that well. I wasn't, to be fair, playing the best I could play at the time. And he grabbed me and he goes, he pulled me in his office. And I still remember it to this day. And he goes, Gary, mate, pretty much, look, I know you played for New Zealand. I know we've played together, but at the moment you're not nowhere near first team rugby. So I need you playing A-team. And I went, okay. Okay.
Wow.
Right. So I said, okay, fine. And as soon as I walked out that door and shut that door, I says, I'm going to show you, mate. And sure enough, I think I played 2 or 3 A-team games, played really well. And Belly brought me in probably about 3 or 4 weeks later, sat me down. He says, guess what? I'm going to make you captain of the Rhinos.
That's a quick change.
It's certainly my phone is actually nearly blown up, so now come onto the computer. But don't worry, you can't see me. I'm still here.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just write who's going to come on. Dean Bell, hopefully not.
Dean Bell here.
Yeah. So Belly turned to me. He says, "Gary, look, I've lost a few of the senior players. I need you to come in and pull this team together. You've been playing well in 18, and I've made a mistake. I shouldn't have dropped you to 18, but hindsight's a good thing. You're here now. I'm making you a captain," and I was captain that year. Was it 97? We did really well that year, didn't we?
Yeah. 96 was a bit of an annus horribilis for Leeds.
Oh, it's horrible.
A lot of players left. Obviously,
terrible year.
Left, Jim Fallon left, Kevin Iro left, and it
Scully left, didn't
like the breakup of the side. And I think had it not been for a victory over Workington, I think you actually scored a couple of tries that day at the back end of the 96 season. Leeds could have possibly suffered the ignominy of relegation. And thankfully, Paul Caddick came in and Gary Hetherington came in, rebranded the whole team as the Leeds Rhinos. Obviously, you were the first ever captain of the Leeds Rhinos.
You were,
you were the first ever captain of the newly formed Leeds Rhinos side back in 97, and obviously the cup against Whitehaven. And I think with Dean's last season and Damien McGrath, they kind of reshaped the whole team, really, didn't they? Obviously, with the signings of the likes of Yestin Harris at Leeds. Yeah,
Yestin was brilliant. Playing with Yestin, just a real gifted player, quality player, made a massive difference. And, obviously he went rugby union for a bit, didn't he?
Yes.
Is that correct?
He went to Cardiff in 2001.
Yeah, that's right.
And then came back also with Bradford Bulls in 2004. That 97 season, there's one standout game against Adelaide Rams in the World Cup Challenge. Paul Sterling, to me, scored possibly one of the greatest tries I've ever seen at Headingley. What do you remember of that particular game?
I do remember that game. It was quite a close game.
It was, yes.
Two good sides. And Sterlo, just quality, just quick, pretty much like a fire. Once he got free, he was away. Sterlo, and to be fair to Sterlo, he had a great work rate for a winger. Just always getting involved, very strong. Again, it's a long time ago, but I tell you, I remember at the time we were pretty much getting written off by the Australian sides, weren't we, to be fair?
Yeah.
And what was the scoreline on that one? Was it a close one?
22-14 off the top of my head, I think.
And then we had North Queensland Cowboys as well.
We did, and then we kind of blew it a little bit against. I think everyone expected us to go and beat the Cowboys, and it didn't quite happen. And we kind of faded away a little bit that season, and I think ended up finishing 5th by losing 3 of the last 4, and then beat Oldham, which was Oldham's last ever game.
Last ever game, yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and then obviously you left Leeds and joined Halifax Blue Sox. And how did that move kind of come about?
Well, that's because I had another year to go on my contract.
You did, yes.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept on the team through in 97, and I had just grabbed Gary Hetherington at the end of the season because I had David Hobbs on the phone. Hobbsy, who I played at Bradford Northern with. So Hobbsy was the manager of Halifax Blue Sox.
The Blue Sox,
he rang me up and he says, Gary, look, listen, we need a senior player to come in. At the time, Halifax brought some good players in at the back end of their careers. Myself, Carl Harrison, these players that sort of were average players through the years became better players with senior players around them.
Mm-hmm.
So he got, to be fair to Hobbsy, he got a good squad there together. So I just went to Gary Hetherington and says, Gary, listen, I've done all I can with Leeds. I've had a great time at Leeds, great club. I need a new challenge. Only because Moz was coming through the academy, and I go, I'm not going to hold my shirt here. This he's after my shirt. And Moz would, because I got on really well with him. He used to say things, I won't be long now.
Coming after you, Ming.
He's after me. So, that's how that happened. And I just sat down with Gary, and Gary was very, very good. And I says, Gary, look, I'm going. I won't do my last year with you. Can I go? And he said, yeah. So that was it. And I think they got a bit of money. Don't know how much back then, but they got a bit of transfer money.
Off Gary Hetherington.
No, sorry, Halifax paid them some money for me.
Yeah,
I know, but I know what Gary's like.
And
so I went to Halifax, and we finished third in the league that year.
You
I
did.
think in '98.
You did.
Yeah, really good year,
mate. Unbelievable. Yeah, it was a great set of lads at Halifax. Great setup. John Penderbury, fantastic.
Brilliant coach. Yeah.
Coach. Yeah.
Yeah, he had 10 personalities. But
10.
Yes. Wow. We used to call him 10 heads. 10 heads. Because he had so many personalities, mate. You didn't know which head was coming on his shoulders every day. It was quite weird. But, mate, quality coach.
You had an Aussie scrum half called Gavin Clinch.
Clinchy, yeah.
Was absolutely incredible at Halifax. And obviously led you around the park. You finished third in that league. I think you only lost to Wigan, I think 15-18 at the Shea. You lost, I think, 2 playoff games to Leeds at Headingley, 13-6.
Yes,
and I think St Helens did you at the Shea, and I think they were 30 or something up. And then you came back and just couldn't quite produce in the last quarter. And the following year, it went kind of wrong at Halifax. I think you ended up being head coach, is that right? Or caretaker head coach?
Player coach, yeah.
Player coach. John left some sort of political reason within the club. Something happened there. Hobbs, I think it was Hobbsy. Yeah, I think Hobbsy was still there when I took charge of the side, and so I took charge of Halifax at the time, and I brought in Martin Hall.
Yes, from Wigan.
Remember Hawley? So Hawley come in, and he was my assistant coach. Oh my god, that was a laugh. Anyway, he was fantastic, and I always said to Hawley, I says, mate, I don't care if I'm playing well, leave me. If I'm not playing so well, do not try and take me off the park because I won't come off. He said, no, I won't. I'll never try and take you off. So the challenge for me at Halifax, the best part about being a player coach is that I had to front up every week.
Yeah.
I had to front up at training. I had to make sure I had to organise training sessions. And I had good support from Martin Hall, to be fair, and Hobbsy at the time. But, people, I think I'm the only Super League player coach.
Yeah, correct.
You are ever
in history.
Ever, yeah.
Another claim to fame.
Yeah.
No.
So for me, it was a motivation. I knew I had to play well. If I selected myself, I had to select myself on form.
Yeah.
And and that's where the boys I think appreciated me, that I wasn't picking myself because I was player coach, is that I had to be there. And then obviously I think that's that year. And the following year we had Stephen Lane come in. Is that right?
That's right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so he come in and took over, and things didn't go so well. And I think I departed, didn't I?
You did.
Well, no, I had a neck injury. I was out.
That's right. Yes.
We had half a season with a neck injury. And then that repaired, and then I got in talks with.
Back to Warrington. Yeah.
Yes, I played 16 games back at Warrington before I returned to the Rhinos in 2001.
How did that move sort of come out? Because obviously Darryl Powell had taken over from the now departed Dean Lamps at Headingley, and they were slowly starting to build things with sort of a bit of the golden generation starting to come through.
How that happened, it was me. I instigated that because Darryl van der Velde got sacked at Warrington.
Yes.
David Plange come in with his assistant. I went to David Plange and I said, Plange, what are you thinking with me?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll play, mate. Oh, okay. Right, fine. He was honest, to be fair to Plange. So I rang up Gary Hetherington, knowing Bradley Clyde at the time was injured. If you remember, Bradley Clyde was injured.
Yeah, he was.
The Rhinos had been struggling. So I rang up Gary Hetherington just out of the blue. I said, Gary, sorry, I'll correct myself there. I actually spoke to Darryl Powell, and Powell said, ring Gary. So I got a conversation with Gary. And I said, Gary, look, I'll come back. I'm not really worried about the money. Well, I am, but I don't want thousands. And I think I played the last 6 games of that season. If I
You
recall,
did.
I think it was 6.
You actually made your second debut in front of the Sky cameras against Castleford.
Did I? Oh.
And another game that we won. So you had a decent record back then at Weldon and other Jungle. And I just want to kind of fast forward to 2004. You're taking over from Ellery at Castleford. Obviously, we'll talk about that with the relegation.
Well, Graham Stedman. It was really Graham Stedman. I brought Ellery in, didn't I?
You did indeed. How did that all come about with the move to Castleford at that time?
I knew at the time, just speaking with Steady, and Steady was a great coach. He just unfortunately had a number of players there that weren't responding. And I don't need to go into any detail with that, but they just weren't responding to Steady. Steady was very thorough. I thought he was a great coach. I learned a lot off him. And then we just didn't get the results. He got pulled in, he got sacked. I got told I was caretaker coach. And I rang Ellery up one time. I knew Ellery wasn't doing anything. Listen, you'd be great to come in here, just throw a bit of, your advice about, because you're well respected in the game. So he used to come in and just help me out and just, link up with the boys. It was really good. And I think it took us a little while to get a win. I think our first win when Ellery come in was London away.
That's right, yes. That's right. I think Luke Robinson might have scored in that game off top of my line from Wigan.
Yeah. And then he was Ellery was a bit strong with the boys, so Ellery was struggling a little bit. So it was pretty much like saying, I don't need you now. You better go. in a nice way, because you couldn't have got a better player than Ellery Haney to be involved with you at the club. Just the great experience and the man he is. So, so that's when Ellery left, and then things went a bit tits up there, and we sort of did it right. Then we played Wakefield on the last game of the season, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Lost.
Yeah.
And then my wife was at the Cass game that game.
Yes.
And I'm walking out of the Cass changing rooms, and all the Rhinos, all the Cass fans then turn on me and go,
wow.
Mercer is a Rhino. Mercer is a Rhino. Off. Honestly. And I'm like, oh my God, my wife is fuming.
Yeah.
And I says, Karen, don't worry about it. They're fickle lads. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
So I think you actually played Widnes the week before, and I think Fanny Maloney kicked a drop goal the week beforehand, before the Wakefield game, to actually still keep you in contention to try and stay in Super League.
Oh, did he? I can't remember.
Then obviously the Wakefield game, and it's got quite similarities with this year. Obviously, Wakey at the bottom, Cass went to Wakey the other week. How do you see the relegation scrap sort of sorting itself out in the next 3 weeks?
Gents, can I apologise?
Yes.
I don't watch rugby league much now.
Oh no! Good answer.
But I have said to myself that I need to get off my ass and go watch the Rhinos.
Yeah,
I promise you now.
At least watch these.
I'm going to turn up at a Rhinos game one day.
Yeah.
I need to get. I'm in Harrogate now. I work in Harrogate.
Yeah.
I work in a school in Harrogate, so I'm not far away. So I need to go back to the Rhinos because it's a great club. It's been great for me. I had a great memories there. So I need to get back. But I haven't been, to be honest, I have not been watching the Rhinos of late. I do believe they are struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
But my only view is when they in that golden spell, with Senny and had a real good squad there. I don't think they replaced those players.
Yeah,
to the quality it was.
Yeah, still haven't.
They still haven't, no. But that's what I'm saying. That's with the management of the club in that respect. You got quality players of that level. You got to replace them with either something better or something that's close to better.
Yeah.
So and because it wouldn't be unfair on the academy boys coming through unless you got quality players there. And they had a great era. Cindy's era and, Rob Burrow and all the Kiwi, Carlo Luluai, is it?
Carlo Luluai, yeah.
Some of the players that,
they didn't
kind of been spoiled with success.
Oh, we've been spoiled rotten. Absolutely.
At the Rhinos. You've got no God-forgiven right to win a game of rugby league or win a competition. I think the recruitment at Leeds, just has to be spot on next season if they are gonna challenge. Because we loved it. We loved it in the 90s when we were challenging Wigan, and obviously in the noughties, the early noughties, and the generation of the Simfields, Maguire's, Peacocks. We want to get back there. So,
but listen, I'm going to give Gary a ring after this and say, Gary, I'll come and coach the Rhinos.
Please do.
Yeah,
we'll be there, Eddie, won't we? We'll be there.
I'll be the Tyson Fury of the Rhinos.
Oh yes, please.
Come on.
I think that they'd love you there. If you get the old band back, I don't know what Richie Ayres is doing with himself these days. And
Richie Flares.
Yeah. Where's he these days?
I don't know, but he'd be in front of a mirror somewhere.
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately for Richie, he goes down in history as one of the players sent off in the Challenge Cup final.
Oh, poor Richie. Lovely guy.
I think he flattened Kelvin Skerritt in 1993.
Well, I think
It's worth
Calvin
it.
probably deserved it.
Yeah, it was worth it.
It was
Yes.
worth it, yeah.
Yes. Right, Eddie, over to you, son.
So we've got some questions from our listeners for you, Gary.
Okay.
The first one is from someone called Standing Spectator, and they ask, did Gary have a favourite pre-match meal? Do you have anything that you used to eat
Yes.
for a game?
Baked beans.
Just baked beans?
Baked beans on toast. And I tell you what, I used to go for a
Wow.
run every morning of a game. I'd go for a run.
How far though?
Oh, about a mile and a half.
Wow.
Come back, just a little stride out, little sprint.
Yeah.
Come back home, stretch my lower back, everything like that. Baked beans, and that's all I'd have. Cup of tea, baked beans on a bit of toast, and that was it.
And that was your whole pre-match routine?
Yeah, it was. And obviously taking fluid on and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But, mainly stretching in the mornings. But I'd always go for a little jog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just get the muscles going, get the stretching done. How's that? That's professional, isn't it?
That's really professional, yeah. Next question is from Matthew Clough, and Matthew asks, who was the best player Gary ever played with at Leeds?
It's easy, isn't it?
Gary.
The Pearl.
Well,
The Pearl. The greatest player ever to play the game.
what
That's
was he
right,
like on the field, Gary? Like physically on
brilliant.
the was
He didn't talk much on the field.
He didn't.
He didn't
no.
have to. He didn't have to. You just look at you and you go, oh,
That was
okay,
enough. That's a
or,
bollock.
because he had a nickname for me. Do you know what he used to call me?
No.
Mad Cow.
Brilliant.
He'd go, Mad Cow, where are you going? I
Where
said,
you
what are you talking about, Al? Just run straight.
Brilliant.
Because, I used to have my diagonal runs. And I said, Ellery, the reason I'm running diagonally, because I'm going to pick up Kevin Ira on the way out. And Kevin Ira would always run into those little short balls. Or else I'll make a line break, and that was pretty rare. Anyway.
And the second question from Matthew is, what was your proudest achievement in rugby league?
Oh, playing for my country.
Absolutely, yeah.
Standing there with a national jersey on, national anthem, doing the haka, beating Australia in Australia.
Beating the Aussies, yeah.
Oh,
you couldn't have beat it.
There's nothing
and,
sweeter than beating the Aussies, Gary.
I know. I love beating Aussies. And at the time when I was playing, the Aussies were great. When you think about
mentioned
the
earlier,
players that were around at that time. So it was a massive achievement if you beat Australia. Fantastic. I think I've got another record. I just need to tell you. I think I'm the only Kiwi international that's played so many different positions for his country.
Really? How many was that then in the end?
I know you played wing, didn't you, one time?
Wing.
Yeah, my debut was fullback.
Yes.
In 1986 against Papua New Guinea and Port Moresby.
Wow.
Terrible. Then I played wing, second row, and then prop in one game.
Oh, wow. So you've been everywhere.
They needed somebody to do some work, didn't they? So I'll just
The next question's from Half Sticker, who says,
Half Sticker.
Great name.
Some kind of username on Twitter. Considering Gary was many people's childhood hero, who was Gary's sporting hero as a youngster? Who were your idol growing up, Gary?
My idols were, I had idols. I had the All Blacks.
Yeah.
When I was a kid in New Zealand, we had black and white TVs, didn't have colour.
Yeah.
But my headmaster of my school, my local village where I live, way out in the Wops in New Zealand, a place called Minginui, and it's non-existent now, but he had a colour TV. So we'd go to his house at 2:00 in the morning to watch the 1978 All Blacks play playing Wales over here on tour. And I still remember to the day, New Zealand were playing over there, and they played all the nations, all the 6 nations, 5 nation squads. They played Wales, Ireland, Scotland, and they won all those games. And it was like, these guys were my childhood. I wanted to be an All Black, big time, but I just didn't have the skill set, as you would say.
Next question is from Tom Colton, And Tom asks, when Gary returned for his brief spell in late 2001, did he feel like the club were on the verge of something special? Did you get the feel like that kind of golden generation and something was?
I think it was Pally was just started coaching, didn't he?
Mm.
Daryl was just starting in his coaching career. I could sense there was something coming because of the academy boys coming through. You know, Mozza, because you were never going to let Mozza go, and you knew that if you need to keep Adrian Morley at this club and surround him with quality players, and that's exactly what the Rhinos did. So the management of the Rhinos from that era on, 2000 on, further on, was fantastic because they put some quality players in, and you always sense Leeds were going to go good somewhere.
It was always going to. It was going to work at some point.
Yeah, it had to. It had to. We'd been in the 90s, always bridesmaids to the Wigan, like I said before.
I agree.
And it was time now for the Rhinos to start winning some trophies. And unfortunately, I was at the Rhinos at the time when they didn't win trophies. So. I won the John Player with Warrington, I think.
You did. Was that the old Regal Trophy, the John Player?
Yes, the Regal Trophy. That's it. So I won a trophy.
Yeah.
On to some questions for your former teammates now. I'll start, Andrew, and then we'll go one by one. The fastest teammate that you ever had, Gary? Who was the fastest teammate you ever had?
Are you talking about just the teammates at the Rhinos?
Ideally, but if it works.
Yeah, okay. No, that's what I've answered the questions. I've got all my answers here. So I've gone with Franny Cummings.
Yeah. Really? Yeah. Rapid.
Franny was quick. I think the Wembley experience, running the length of the try there. So I've gone with Franny, really.
He was incredibly young in that game, wasn't
he? 17.
Yeah.
17, was he the youngest 17-year-old to score in a Challenge Cup final?
He was. He broke Sean Edwards' record as the youngest ever player as well to play in a Challenge Cup final at 17.
He must that record must still lie. He must still be a holder.
It's still there, I think.
Yeah,
it's definitely there.
17.
So I see Franny works for a school in Doncaster, Hill House School in Doncaster, and I see Franny because I have rugby fixtures against him.
Brilliant.
So he brings his rugby teams over to me, and it's great.
Who's got the best team, Gary?
What do you mean? Ashfield College. That's where I work.
Yeah, they always beating him then.
Sorry. Oh yeah, we always beat him. But no, like Franny works in the school now over at because obviously he was involved with Wakefield for a bit when he coaching.
Yeah, well,
yes, and went a bit pear shaped there. So now he's in school. So I do see Franny quite a bit, to be fair. Yeah, so Franny was probably one of the quickest ones.
Over to me, Ed.
Yep.
And on the opposite of that, I don't want you to throw anyone under the bus, but the slowest teammate at Leeds, Asini Faimalo, maybe? I don't know. That's a name off the top of my head.
Asini was quick. He was like a train starting off. No, he was like a train.
Yeah.
Just have to get that momentum.
Yeah, he was. Well, listen, I do hope he's listening to this. It's Gary Rose.
Oh, man. Gary Rose. He broke his arm at Wakefield 2 weeks before the Challenge Cup final.
I know. It was really sad. I love Rosie. Yeah. I love the guy. I think he come from Featherstone.
He did.
He did,
indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, Rosie wasn't overly quick, but I tell you what, tough as old blokes. Good little. It was a boxer, wasn't he?
He was. That's right.
He was a boxer. So you never mucked around with Rosie. No.
The next question: who was the best dressed teammate that you have?
It's Kevin Iro.
Hey, the beast. The beast.
You know it's the beast because the girls loved him.
Did they?
We were jealous. If we go out with Kevin Iro, we'd all hang around Kevin because the girls come speaking to us. This is when we weren't married, okay? Yeah, this is when we weren't married. But Kevin Iro, really smartly dressed, good-looking bloke, 6'6", 117 kgs, just muscle.
Yeah,
and he was my best man at my first wedding. First
wedding.
First, yeah. I've been married twice. Well, so I'm married again. Sorry, to my lovely wife, Karen.
And I'm guessing it helped having Craig Innes as his centre partnership at Leeds.
Oh yeah,
Posty.
Yeah,
Posty was fantastic. He'd only just become an All Black, I think, and he just jumped ship, didn't he?
Right.
He jumped codes.
Yeah.
He jumped codes for the money. I think he did a World Cup. I don't know what year World Cup he did, I think, and then he jumped ships. Dougie signed him then.
That's right. Yeah, I think it must be 91, the Union World Cup.
I think it was, yeah.
And then obviously he came across to Headingley, and if you look at the front or the back line at 5, Tate, Fallon, Iro, Innes, Simon Irving potentially at that time, or Franny Cummings. It was a very exciting first 5 on the team sheet for Leeds at that time.
Oh, back 5, that is it, yeah. Awesome.
No, he was good player, Craig Innes. I think Craig Innes, a great tackler.
Yes.
Oh, phenomenal tackler. No one got past Craig. He was good.
Eddie, you?
The worst dressed. You've had the best dressed. Who was the
Who did I
worst
put
dressed?
down? I put Rosie down again.
Poor Gary Rose.
Rosie, I hope you're not listening, mate. But if you are, I do like you.
I did like it. You are the answers to about 12 of these questions.
Listen, I hardly ever went out because I was a good professional. I'd just go home after train, go play a bit of golf, go home, relax, then go to sleep, and then wake up and train the next morning. So I hardly ever went out. So I only saw Rosie on a couple of occasions, but scruffy as. Good bloke, though.
So the next one is, who was the funniest Leeds player you played with?
The funniest. That's a difficult one because Rosie was funny.
There you go, Rosie.
Everything.
Not all
Rosie
bad.
was the funny. Oh, listen, I can tell you a good story. Do you want a quick story?
Yes.
Go for it. Yeah, we've got a long
Okay,
Absolutely.
Dougie lived in Bramhope, right? Dougie Lawton lived in Bramhope. So we'd always meet at the Lawnswood Arms for a beer. And Dougie, because Dougie used to always smoke, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
So he'd be like this. Guys, you come for a beer. And so me, Posty, Kevin Ira, Rosie turn up to the Lawnswood Arms, walk in, Dougie's there at the bar. Well, lads, what do you want? What do you want? You know, he gets us a beer each. And he goes, so Dougie's had a few by now. So he goes, Iro, quality, mate. I needed quality, your class, test player. That's why I signed you, mate. Posty, all black. Just a minute. All black. Oh, legend. That's why I signed you. Fantastic. So I'm sitting like this going, Mercer. Yes, Dougie. Fantastic, mate. You're a good player, mate. Massive, big heart. Love it. So by then, Rosie's like, right, Doug? Dougie goes, shite. He says, I only brought you in because we had an injury crisis, okay? So count yourself bloody lucky. And Rosie was like, hold me back. Don't hold me back. I'm going for him. And
I'm
we're
gonna
all in
ring his
tears
neck.
laughing. Yeah, but that's what Dougie was like. He was fantastic with the players, you know. And it was only banter, and it was just so funny. It was brilliant. I had to tell you that because I love that story.
Oh, that is funny.
Superb.
Sounds like Dougie might have been funniest.
Dougie was funny. Well, Dougie was funny. Yeah, I love Dougie.
And then, of course, the opposite of that. Who was the most boring, Gary?
Yeah, I hope he's not listening. Ellery Hanley.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Ellery?
Because Ellery was, mate, awesome pro.
Yeah.
But
True
he's
professional. Yeah.
Rugby, very quiet, very discreet, didn't give anything away, showed no weakness.
Yeah.
Very private guy. And, you know, just so well respected. The boys just so much respected him.
For him, yeah.
You know, he never come out with us drinking.
Ever?
Or him? No, because Ellery didn't
Wow.
drink. Ellery didn't drink. But Ellery would invite us around to play cards at his house. Don't you worry. We had some card games with Ellery. It was great. We used to play 3-card brag.
Yeah.
You know, Manila, everything. Yeah. So Ellery was quite a private person. And that's probably why you don't see him much on media sites or.
Yeah, it seems
doing a
to
lot.
have continued that, eh? Just seems to still be private.
Yeah, he's very private. And I
He
respect
did Dancing on Ice, didn't he, Ellery, a few years ago? I imagine that.
Yeah, he did. Every now and then he'll come out. I think he's been at Headingley just recently, and I think I saw a photo a couple of weeks back. So he's quite a private guy. I mean, every now and then I ring him and just quietly I go, Ellery, it's Mad Cow. Are you there? But he never comes back.
If you want to get him on the pod, would love to talk to him, Eddie, wouldn't we?
Oh, I'd love it. You're kidding me? We'll leave that one go.
No, Ellery, yes, and that's not being disrespectful to Ellery. Ellery was just a very private person, just didn't say much. So not much come out of El. But good bloke.
Who was the teacher's pet at Headingley at your time at Leeds?
Come on, it's obvious, gents. You don't know. I thought you know your rugby. Alan Tate.
Tatey.
Yeah.
Tatey was with Widnes at the time when Dougie was coaching Widnes, wasn't he?
He was, yes.
Yeah.
Big time. So it used to be a local joke around the club with the boys. We'd be in the changing rooms and everyone goes, oh, where's Tatey? Next door. Dougie. Tatey, what are you doing in here?
There he is.
Tatey was picking the team. We said, Tatey, am I in this week? He goes, yeah, mate, you're in.
Yeah, you're in.
But Tatey was always with Dougie.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in the office with Dougie at Headingley, he was in the pub at the Lawnswood or Brammo pub drinking with Dougie. I'm telling you. It was so funny.
Cracking fullback as well, I know.
He was good. Tatey was
Yeah,
brilliant.
good player. Mm.
I still speak to
Full-time
Tatey. I still speak to
clubs as well.
Tatey this.
Yeah.
I still speak to him today. He's so funny.
The next question: who was the most intelligent, Gary?
It has to be Jim Fallon.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Mate, listen, he was boring as well, but I hung out with him quite a bit. But Jim, I won't tell you his nickname. It wouldn't be nice for me to tell you his nickname. But Jim Fallon, very intelligent guy. I think he's an accountant now. He's got his own accountant business down in Exeter.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
He's doing really, really well. I rang him. I keep in touch with him because obviously my connections with Bath, with my son Zach. He used to play for Bath.
Yeah, with your son. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, so Zach. So that's where our connection with Bath was with Jim Fallon. So the amount of times I used to go to Bath with Jim, and Jim would take me out drinking down there was great. But what we call it? Intelligent, very, very bright guy.
Very intelligent. Yeah.
And another cracking winger at Leeds in sort of the early 90s.
Anything
era.
close to the line, he'll score every time.
Yeah, there's no stopping him.
No.
You mentioned it there with Jim. Who was the biggest drinker at Leeds?
The biggest drinker. What did I put down? I'm just trying to look what I put down. Biggest drinker.
Oh,
come on, guys. Are you serious? You know who the biggest drinker is?
Alan Tate.
No.
Oh.
Scoey.
Come on. Scoey.
Yeah, Scoey.
His real nickname was Stoggy, not Scoey.
Brilliant.
Boys would say, we Scoey. No, it's not Scoey, it's Stoggy.
Stongy.
Remember Stoggy's nightclub? It was in a bar somewhere.
Yeah.
I never went there. I think I might have gone there once, but that's where Stoggy used to live, didn't he?
He was always in there.
Yeah.
He was always in there. And he loved it because he had all his entourage of people. Scoey. Every time he walked in, Scoey. Yeah, we used to give Gary a hard time with that. But Gary was the biggest drinker.
Did he fall out with Dougie then a little bit at Leeds? Or...
Listen, I really don't know what happened there, but all I know, and I'm being professional here, is that I think they had we all fell out with Dougie every now and then.
Yeah.
But Dougie was very forgiving. Scoey at the same time, because you had two great players. You had Schofield and you had Hanley.
Yeah.
Two quality players, and Scoey was the opposite of Ellery, and Ellery is obviously the opposite of Scoey.
Yeah.
So you probably had always had a little bit of a clash there
between personalities.
Yeah, we could sense that a little bit, but the thing with those two, they were also always very professional.
Yeah. Mm.
And if there was something said, it'd be in a private room. It wouldn't be in front of the lads. That's how professional they both were. And Scoey was a fantastic player.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
he was
amazing. Internationally as well.
Oh, phenomenal.
So that's the biggest drinker. Who was the lightweight, Gary? Who was the lightweight?
Listen, I've put lightweight down. Listen, I can't think of anyone. Can you?
Anyway. No.
Well, I tell you what, I'm not a big drinker. At the time, I'd had 3 or 4 pints. I'm gone.
Yeah,
it was time to go home.
Andrew's like that now. Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give me the lightweight drinker.
Yeah. Wow, that's the first time ever. On a Lock Pod special, a guest has nominated themselves.
I was a lightweight. Now you can ask.
That's another first, Gary.
You can ask him. All right, Tony Kemp, Carl Hall.
Tony Kemp, yeah.
Tony Kemp. The old Sting Pig. Remember the Sting Pig, Carl Hall?
Oh, yes. He came from Bradford.
Because what we used to do, at the time we were at Leeds, we used to always travel out of Leeds because Kevin and I didn't drink. So he'd drive us to Manchester.
Right.
So we didn't get recognised. So we'd go drinking in Manchester, Altrincham, place called Altrincham, or if we go somewhere else, we wouldn't want to be drinking too much in Leeds because obviously the footballers are pretty much in the town and at the main centre of town, and we would be drinking more so over the Chain Bull and Round A and all around there. And we just get recognised and was like, well, we've got to get out of here. Kev, you can drive and take us to Manchester. So every now and then we'd probably pop over there and have a few drinks.
Over there for the drink.
Yeah. And Harrogate, funny enough. We used to come Harrogate here.
Yeah.
It was quite weird because I walked into a bar, I think it's called the Banyan in Harrogate.
Oh, I know that. Yes.
The guy on the door was a bouncer from what's that? What did I say? He was from a bar in Leeds. He recognised me.
He recognised you.
Brilliant.
He's from the Chain Bull. He says,
I remember the Chapel, Harrogate Road, yes.
yeah, remember it's right by the roundabout, wasn't it?
That's right, yes.
It's now a petrol station.
It's certainly, yeah. That's the
So
one.
he recognised me from back in 1994.
Jeez.
That was crazy.
Wow.
You probably already answered this one, but the best trainer, was it Ellery?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Where do I have trainer? Yeah, Ellery I had down, yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone from your era, or everyone that we've had on that's played with Ellery, has said without doubt.
Yeah, but Ellery inspired me. And, I don't, at the time in 97, we brought an Olympic lifting coach in Edgar Curtis. Remember him?
I remember Edgar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Dean Bell was there. And that's when I started doing Olympic lifting, And I reckon it put another 5 years on my career. Just Olympic lifting just kept me really fit. And then off the back of that, I used to run with Ellery as much as I could, or keep up with Ellery.
Keep up with
and
him.
Training. And, it was the best I could do. And it benefited from it. And that's why I sort of played right till I was I think I was 36 when I retired.
You retired, yeah.
Yeah, retired from rugby. That was at Cass.
Yes.
I come back, they had injury break, didn't we? And I played for Cass. I played 4 games for Cass, I think, or 3 or 4.
You did indeed. And I think that was under Graham Stedman, wasn't it, back in 2002?
Yes.
Yeah. Ed?
That's the best trainer. Opposite to that, the worst trainer, Gary?
Jim Fallon.
Wow.
He was just so laid back.
Yeah.
It's like you had to push him out in a wheelchair. Just spring him out and say, "You got to run, Jim." Oh, well. He was great. Jim was great. I mean, I loved the guy. Great guy, and I speak to him to this day. But he wasn't one of your better trainers. He come from rugby union, obviously.
I thought you might have said something like Harvey Howard then, or something.
Harvey. No, Harvey was a good trainer.
Was he?
Yeah. Yeah, Harvey was good. He was a good player as well, was Harvey.
And I think another one that Dougie had at Widnes that he brought with the likes of Richie Ayres and Alan Tate.
That's right. Yeah,
back in the 90s. Who is the tightest player you played with? Now I've had one answer that's done the rounds for the same players. I'm going to see if you can have the same player.
We've had one name mentioned, Gary, from this era, from your era for Leeds.
And I'll give you a bet. I'm going to get it right.
Go on.
You do.
Tatey.
Correct.
Yes. Teddy's the type of guy. Listen, Teddy's the type of guy. If you go drinking with Teddy, we go, "Oh, it's Teddy," and so we're not going to get around of him. So it'd be one where he goes to the bar, walks to the bar, and thinks, "Oh, boys, I just got to go to the toilet."
Yeah, again.
Then a round comes in.
They've said exactly the same. The toilet thing. He runs off.
He would make sure he's the last in the queue of, say, 6 or 7 of us drinking.
Yeah.
He'd be the lads. I've got to go. We go home.
I feel like Andrew, we really have to get Tatey on this podcast to explain himself.
Yes.
Get Tatey on.
Yes.
Get him on and say, "Are you really that tight?"
He's a tight ass, is Tatey. Oh yeah, definitely.
Which ex-former Leeds teammate would you prefer to be stuck in a lift with, Gary?
Do I have to have somebody in the lift with me? If I was to be stuck in a lift, I love Jim Fallon's company, so it'd probably be Jim. Yeah. Intelligent guy. I could learn a lot off him. Ellery would bore me to death in rugby. Scoey, nah, in a nice way. Kevin Iro, he's another boring one. Tony Kemp, Carl Hall, probably. Yeah, those are 3.
Your backs.
Not bad. Not a bad selection.
Not bad.
And you probably also already answered this, but the most skillful, was that Ellery again?
No.
Oh.
Ellery, I wouldn't say Ellery is skillful. Talent is, I think player like an Eston Harris.
Yeah.
Very skillful. Graham Holroyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, Graham. Had him on here,
The GOAT. His real name's the GOAT. If you get him on, just say Gary calls you the GOAT, but it doesn't mean greatest of all time. All time, no, it doesn't mean that. So just ask him when you see it. He'll tell you what it is when you speak to him. He was the GOAT. Not the terminology we know it to be.
Just a couple more from me. What do you remember of a player called Nathan Peachy?
Nathan Peachy?
Yes.
Yeah, no. Well, it's quite funny because everyone said we signed this guy Nathan Peachy. He's 6'6" and he's about 17 stone. He turned up at training and went, honestly, Nate.
Yeah.
I never heard of Nathan Peachy. He's a Kiwi, obviously.
That's right. Yeah.
But we're told he was 6 foot something, 17 stone. I thought, oh yes, we need him. I think it was 96 season, was it? We got
That's
him.
right. Yes. Yeah.
I think deep down it was Dean Bell's cousin or nephew.
Yeah.
Because when he turned up, all the boys went,
Who was that?
So I remember he dislocated his shoulder in his one and only game and never played again.
Did he only play one game?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew he didn't play. Did he play a first team game?
Yes. Against, I think, Sheffield Eagles at Headingley in April. And that was it.
Yeah.
Dislocated his shoulder, played for about 20 minutes and was never ever seen him get in a Leeds shirt.
Bless him. Lovely guy. But he wasn't what we thought was coming.
And then also that season, and I hope I pronounce this right, you had a Tongan called Sataki Tuipulotu. I pronounce that right? And
He's
obviously another
one.
All Black, Dean Clark.
Yeah.
Clarkey, good player.
Yeah.
Clarkey, where did he go? Hulk,
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, Clarkey, good player. Could play Dean. Dean played New Zealand, I think. I'm sure he played.
He did
He
indeed.
played New Zealand with me in '89. I think he didn't make a test match in '89. I think he was one of the so-called pooks. That's what we used to call it. The boys who didn't play test rugby, the pooks. As for
Tuipulotu, I think I pronounced that right.
another one we thought was supposed to be 6'8", 18 stone, but he turned up and he was he's smaller than me and he's maybe around 12.5 stone.
And then obviously that season,
I don't know.
Gone.
Sorry, I don't know who made those signings.
No signings.
Crazy.
Yeah. And then obviously we had David Hume that year. I think he kind of got us out of the mire a little bit.
David Hume from Widnes.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the back end of that season, that kind of kept us in Super League.
Yes.
Good old days. Ed, any more from you?
Two more from me.
Right.
The toughest opponent you ever played against, Gary? Who
was Ellery.
Yeah.
Ellery, yeah. I mean, you had players like Neil Cowie, and Calvin Stewart used to throw himself about.
Oh, yeah.
But I think if you're talking about the toughest meaning a player that was relentless was Ellery.
Yeah. Ellery.
Cowie you'd see him come and you'd see him go. Scarrett would swing an arm and then run off somewhere else. But I had Calvin at Halifax with me, didn't I, in that 98 season?
The 98 season.
And he was good for us that year, along with Carl Harrison, two quality senior players. Yeah.
The last one from us, Gary. Thank you very much. It's been amazing to have you on. A player you wish you could have played alongside? Anybody you wish you could have played with that you never got the chance to?
Probably a player like, I think I would love to have been in the Wigan team at the time. The Sean Edwards, Andy Farrell, Dennis Betts. They were quality players. Yeah, Don't get me wrong. Yeah. You had your work cut out when you come up against those guys. So I think I couldn't sort of say these one player. I was blessed to play with one player, and that was Ellery Hanley. I think from another club or another club era would be that era in the 90s with the Wigan players. There's some good players there. Yeah, they were really good.
You go through the likes of Billy Wiz, Jason Robinson, Sam Penappa, or just even Radlinski that was coming through at that time. Just a very scary outfit. And I remember growing up as always that Wigan era of the 80s and early 90s. And I think it was the introduction of Super League in 96 when Saints won it that it kind of stopped Wigan's domination a little bit.
It did. It did. They had a good team with St. Helens, didn't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ed?
Brilliant. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everybody, for listening. It's been a pleasure, Gary.
Okay, it's been a pleasure to meet you guys.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best with the Rhinos. And you may see me down there in the near future.
I hope so, because you're very loved, Gary. And when you go to Headingley, when people see you, they'll let you know. We'll all let you know.
Yeah, but they're a bit older now, so all these older people probably don't go anymore.
People our age. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Okay,
thank you, Gary. Take care.